guys, welcome back to another episode of Fore Podcast. You got your host Tease and Don Julio. Apologize for pushing it back a day. Work and life just
busy. Never takes us sleep. Only when we want to.
Right? Yeah. So here we are today, getting the podcast done. It'll be dropping Friday morning, which you guys will probably be hearing about right now. We already had round one of the FedEx Cup Playoffs Championship, the final 30 players. We're going to get into it really quickly. But before we do, I definitely want to talk to Julio about the BMW Championship, Olympia Fields. I said we are going to talk about some of the cool things that happened. He was asking me off screen, what was it? And I said, I'm going to tell you, and you're gonna find out. You probably heard about it, but I mean, like, I thought it was really, really cool. I think it had to have been Friday. Max Homa goes out, breaks the course record, 62. Next day, Sam Burns comes in, ties the record, 62 on a Saturday. Victor Hovland on frickin' Sunday comes around like, you know what? I'm going to shoot a 61 and win the whole dang thing. I was like, that's pretty freaking cool. Like back to back to back. And I was like, I thought that was really freaking cool, especially with Hovland just on fire on Sunday at 9 under to take the win. I think it vaulted him up to 2, the second overall in the standings, which I thought was honestly really crazy because it legitimately catapulted him up to number 2. And as of right now, I believe the leaderboard is tied with, which you would not expect this, Scottie Scheffler started 10 under today, obviously, being number 1 in the FedEx Cup playoffs. And then he shot a 1 over. Victor Hovland shot a 2 under. Keegan Bradley shot a 7 under. He's tied first place with Colin Morikawa, who shot a 9 under, and Victor Hovland, who obviously, shot that 2 under, but with his 8 under start. I mean, like, what do you think? What do you think about the whole what's been going on?
I think it's an interesting. I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. Like, you work all season or you bust your butt all season to basically get on top of the leaderboard and have an advantage. And here you are. I mean, you see Scheffler coming out and he shoots 1 over, right? Like now he's 9 under. It's
bad putting, bad putting it as well. Dude.
But that's
so close. I know, and I was like, this is okay. Last year you blew it. You had it the whole time. You lost to Rory. I don't know how you did, but you ended up losing to Rory. You got really hot. Like you did well this year, enough to be number 1. I was like, there's no way. You're probably so mad that you didn't win that FedEx Cup playoff. It's not a major, but it's still probably got to be like eating at you that you're gonna just
for sure
guns blazing.
For sure. I mean, I mean, I don't know how I'd be able to sleep at night playing at that level, and having a 6-footer that just has the slightest amount of break, you just got to get started on the line and go, and you still miss. We saw that big time at the Masters. We saw it at the Players. We saw it at the U.S. Open. I mean, Scheffler's just been struggling. He's just been struggling the whole season. And last year I think was kind of the start of it with the FedEx when Rory came back, and just came from behind and beat him. But I think it's cool. I think it's super cool, the way it starts. I mean, if you come out and fire out a big number like Keegan, like it's anybody's game. Right. It really is. Right. And starting under it, some people think, oh yeah, it's just a cushion. And sometimes you see a guy like Keegan, you see guys like Colin just kind of come up out of nowhere and bam, there they are.
I mean, I just think it's crazy. Like you mentioned how long Scottie Scheffler has been struggling with his putter, and it hasn't been, something that he's able to really hide over the last few months or even during this season. But he was still able to grind out the number 1 FedEx points. And I think that's an incredible feat. And just think of if he were to knock down half of these 6 to 8 footers that he's been struggling with all year, he knocks in half more than what he's missed, where he could be, how much more. Obviously, the strokes are still going to be the same, be 10 under compared to 8 under. But it's just like that confidence and how many more points he might have allotted, how many more tournaments he might have won, just because of that little confidence, like the yips,
Yeah, I'm going to be the first to say it, okay? And, audience, you can feel free to agree with me or disagree with me, but I honestly think with Scottie being one of the best ball strikers in the PGA, if he were to get those putts to drop, we might be looking at the next Tiger.
I was thinking
there's absolutely no doubt in my mind. I mean, the guy is just incredible the way he's able to the way he's able to make the or work the ball
Yeah.
and hit it. I mean, even with the Scheffler slide, like
Dude, like he's like the Hunter
it's insane.
Pence of golf. Like you don't want to
That's
teach
I
your
love that.
kids.
I love
You
that.
don't
I
you
love
don't
that.
want to teach your kids to swing like him, but he does it so well. And you watch
Yeah.
Hunter Pence swing, and you're like, look away, kids, look away. Like look away, man. Don't watch that. You did everything wrong, but he does it, and it works. You know, everyone's got their
Yeah,
own thing, and
there's a guy that I play with on Thursdays. His name's Joe Young, and he has a Scotty Scheffler slide. Like it's not
yeah,
intentional. It's just
it's just
the shoes he
natural.
wears.
Mm,
So the shoes he wears are completely worn out on the back, but he's like,
gotcha.
dude, I don't like wearing cleats because I feel like I can't get through the ball. And I
Mm,
was like, really? That's interesting. So he wears the same Puma shoes with
mm-hmm,
no grip on the front, but all the traction in the or I'm sorry,
mm-hmm.
no grip on the back,
Good
all
in
the
the front, you're
traction in the
good.
front, and
Yeah.
he hits it and it just slides and it's 280 down the middle, nice little draw. 280 down
Dang,
the middle with a little cut. And the kid's good. The kid's good. I mean,
man.
I you know, for a guy who just got into it like 3 years ago, I think he said,
Mm-hmm.
he's pretty
COVID.
solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Well,
pretty
I mean,
solid.
like, speaking of shoes, I have seen. I know you've worn some shoes that have like spikes and some shoes that don't have spikes. I know, like the Jordan 4 Cements that you got obviously have spikes, and I think the Jordan ones that you have, and you probably have other shoes too. They really don't have spikes. They're just regular shoes. How do you how easy is it for you to like play? Because when you swing, you definitely don't swing like 30%. You know, you definitely swing to knock the crap out of the ball. I know for me, I need some spikes or at least something to keep me grounded when I do swing, so I don't lose my balance. But like when you do play with those kind of shoes, and I've obviously tried, I've looked at some shoes and I'm like, I like the look, but I can't get those because they do not have any traction. I need something that'll give me traction. I've seen you play with both, with like some of your videos that you post. What do you have like a preference? How is it like you obviously have to make adjustments, you know?
Personally, I'm growing more towards spikeless. And it kind of all started when I started wearing G4s, which have like these little micro spikes,
Mm-hmm,
you know.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But
I've seen some Jordans have that too.
yeah, but they grip really well. I mean, the worst ones I would have to say are probably the Jordan ones because the
Mm-hmm.
sole is so flimsy. It's
Yeah.
basically like Vans. If you were to curl your toes, the
Mm-hmm.
sole just goes like this.
Yeah.
But if you sorry, I had to cough. But if you if you but if I'm wearing my my Jordan 12s, if I'm wearing my Jordan 4s, like it's to me I feel like I'm very much more grounded and I can really get after the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been trying to tell myself 80% minimize your miss,
Right.
right? Like I feel like that's where I like the spike.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this season was a little bit weird playing because I played in my G4s even in wet weather when it
Mm-hmm.
was like raining, when it was after the rain and the course was super wet.
Yep.
I will say you do see a difference, but you and I we have the luxury of living in California where it's the courses don't stay that wet. I mean, for the
Yeah.
most part, it's like you could go out there in tennis shoes and still have plenty of grip. It's
Mm-hmm.
really just a matter of are you staying through the ball? Are you actually in a wet zone? Do you have happy feet? But for me personally, like I really don't see much of a difference. I don't have a lot
Yeah.
of movement in my takeaway or
Mm-hmm.
even through it. I'm pretty balanced.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean,
Kind of long winded there. Sorry, that was kind of long winded, but I prefer spikeless.
that's fine. Okay, perfect. We got to the point. Okay, awesome. I mean, because yeah, I've seen both, and I've looked at some shoes, and I'm not the biggest fan of the Jordan 1 look. It was starting to grow on me today when I was looking at some of the Eastside Golf, some of their on their shop, just to look at. It. I'm like, those actually look kind of nice. I could see myself rocking those, but then I'm like, let me see the bottom of the shoes. And I know there are some things now that you can like put the spikes in. You know, you can like put the holes in and like do your thing.
Nah,
But I'm
bro,
like, even
don't
with
do that.
those,
Don't do that with
because they're
those.
flimsy. If you say that they're flimsy, that's definitely going to feel it, and it's not. And it's going to ruin
Do,
the integrity and the
do you
feeling of the
remember?
shoe.
Do you remember? Do you remember when we played baseball and they used to have the interchangeable spikes?
Oh yeah, with the from like the plastic to the metal.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So remember when the sole started to wear out, you could literally feel the screws at the bottom of your feet.
Dude, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I never had those shoes. Some of my friends did.
Okay,
I
so
know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I
Same
remember
thing.
like having those once the sole kind of started to give, you can feel the screws and running on your toes. Man, was it the worst. You could
Uh,
literally feel like the poke because the top of it's right there. And I remember they made them with extra thick soles, and you could feel the little poke as it started to go, or you would feel like you're just running on hard, just a hard sole. Um,
Dang.
yeah, but if you're gonna
Uh,
buy Jordan ones, you might as well just stick it out with how flimsy the bottoms are. Don't even think
yeah.
about inserting spikes.
Yeah, they're
You're just
probably like super comfy. And you probably just defeat the whole purpose of that by
I
doing that
I
to just
honestly
like.
wear them. I honestly wear them like when I go to the office.
And
I
you
wear
can.
them.
I mean, they
Yeah,
definitely you
they
definitely can
they
be those
rock.
shoes. Yeah.
Yeah, I put the Vans like anti-stick stuff on them. So like when it's dusty or if I'm in the bunker or if it's
That's a
if I
thing.
spill it, dude, you
What?
got to get them. Yeah, you got to get it. it's
What is
it's
it? What's it
great.
called? What's it called? I'm looking up right now. Vans what? No
Uh,
stick? No stick. What is it? Is it a spray?
yeah, so it's the water and shine shield, the water and
Okay.
shine shield.
Gotcha. Okay,
I,
cool. Got
I
it.
I sprayed that on my shoes. So like if I get in the bunker, if I'm in like
Dude, that's
dust,
freaking genius. Because
whatever,
especially gets
if
so
I
dusty in the
spill,
valley. Yeah.
well, if I spill like if I'm having I don't know a cocktail or something and it drops
Mm,
or whatever, if
yeah.
I'm having a hot dog at the turn and I drop mustard, it doesn't stick. And you
Freaking
can
genius, dude.
and what I did and the best way to do it is when you take your laces off,
Mm-hmm.
spray it down, and then get like a wet cloth and go up
Wipe
and
the
down
rust
on
on
it.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in that way it's permanent on your laces. But that's what I do, especially for my white ones, because
Yeah.
they're nice. I mean, if I'm wearing like just regular clothes, it looks like I'm just rocking regular Jordans.
Right, right, right. So have you been able to get out on the course over the last week or so since our last podcast?
Yeah, so I actually went and played this afternoon. Played
Ooh.
a played a front nine, shot two under, not bad from the blues. But I was actually clubbing up and just like kind of doing like the Tommy Fleetwood like saw off, dude.
Okay.
I was hitting just absolute missiles at the
Dude,
ball, and I'm like,
that's what I
or
did
at
to
the
shoot my
pin.
one under. That's what I did, man. I was just like, just make
Yeah,
contact, and it worked.
yeah, and I was just I was rather shocked. I was like, okay, now I'm flying and controlling the ball, you
Mm-hmm.
know. It was
Yeah.
fun. I mean, I got paired up with some random guys, just having fun. Um, Sold one of them a hat, my last hat. So
Ooh,
yeah,
let's go. That's awesome, dude. I got around in Tuesday, and I'll just the only thing I'll say about the round because I was trying to drop the video. I was telling Julio off air. I literally have all the images, all the things ready to go on it. I had that saved. I created that video. Now I just got to do the voiceovers, which I did, the flyby music and stuff like that I like adding to it as well. Tried to render it today, got to 84% and literally just crashed. And it deleted everything. So I got to redo that. And I was so ticked that I was like, I'm not going to do it today. I was trying to get it out by this afternoon. It literally probably would have been out by like 2 o'clock, but it just crashed and I was so mad and I did not want to have to go through that again of going through the whole thing. I was like, give me some time over the weekend. But I did start I did start one under after 3 holes. So see how I finished off. Julio will know after this podcast when I tell him, but I'll just say that my putter did not help me at all. Like when I shot my one under, I had some great putts. I had some great saves. And with this round, I've never been so intimidated by a green because the greens were so bad. The worst shape that I've ever seen Dragonfly. And I'm not saying like it's punched where it's what the territory. Like there were so many craters from unmarked or whatever divots for one. Plus the greens were just in horrible shape. Like playing partner that I played with, Kyle, he shot freaking 2 under. he had probably 2 or 3 putts that literally rolled up to the lip and just stopped. And I was like, "Oh, man." I mean, I had well, I'm not even gonna say it because I'm gonna ruin it. But check it out. It'll probably come out this weekend, and you'll see if I was able to break 80. I played from the Blues, which is about extra 400 yards from there. Give myself a decent little what is it, challenge from how I've been playing on the whites previously. But it was a great day. It was a little humid because of Hurricane Hillary. You know, it still had like that humidity that, dude, it was so humid. It started like 80% humidity when I started in the morning. And then by the time I was done, I was like 50 degrees. But I legitimately, I doubt you can see it there. Oh, actually, you can. Can you see that tan line? Dude, it's
Oh
a
yeah.
legit line. It's a
Holy
legit
smokes.
line, man. It was insane. I was like, "What?" It was like a fat line. I was like, "What?" Well, see, my polo was more like tight on my arms for the first time ever, and like so it
Because
stayed
you've
there.
been lifting, huh? Because you've
I've
been
been
lifting,
trying. I've been trying. I've been trying.
huh?
Yeah, yeah.
You're like,
But I
Carter,
mean,
come here.
exactly. But I was like, I went in the shower and I was like, it's a line. It's a freaking line. But yeah, great weather for golfing. Check out the video. It'll be posted this weekend at some point. But yeah, I mean, I need to keep on playing. I need to keep on
All right.
playing.
I still, dude, I still want to test out Dragonfly. I don't think I've played it yet.
Ever since it
I
was
don't think
Riverbend, or even then,
I don't think I've ever played it.
really.
Thinking about it now, I don't think I've ever played it. Sorry about the motorcycle guys being a freaking douche.
Wow, so cool, bro. You go, man. Woo! Boom, boom.
Okay, do you remember watching Short Game on Netflix?
Yes. With
Okay,
the what was
so
that Tanner kid, that blonde kid who's like whole family is like the professional
well,
tennis
well,
player.
his sister, yeah, his sister was Anna Kournikova, and I think his
Yep,
name
yep.
was
Colin or
uh
Colin or something like that. No,
no,
I
it
don't
was
know. He
like
was a stud.
Aiden or something like that. But do you remember the girl Alexa Pano that was like his best friend?
I'm
They
blanking.
were
No, I just remember him mainly. That was pretty much it. Him and
she was the girl that absolutely dominated throughout the entire show. Like
okay.
she was the girl that every other girl that they filmed was chasing. She was the number she is one of the number one players for her age. Um in the like I don't want to say in the world, but just yeah, for her age group. But when she was 12 years old, she was the number one player in the world.
Right. Okay.
Like, and she had won this Pinehurst thing, or the junior championship at Pinehurst like 3 years in a row. I mean, she goes out and she breaks her own record.
Jeez.
Um, so she recently just turned 18,
Okay.
right? And she goes and plays in her first LPGA event.
This weekend?
Dominates, dominates
No
this last weekend.
way. She
She won
carried
her,
it from like 12 and still kept up with all that pressure she gave herself
dude.
being on Netflix and just
Yeah. Well, I mean,
wow.
she had a lot of pressure already kind of going in because I remember seeing Alexa Pano pop up on Twitter, and and then there was like Amari. I forget what the other girl was, but she was the Tigers girl, right? She
Mm.
um I forget what her last name is, but I saw like all the girls that were there, and everyone's like, "Oh, like look at what's happened, or look at what they've become since the show." So Alexa was like the top player coming into her high school and like within Florida, and she dominates her entire season. Like
Wow.
I don't think she lost a single match for her high school career. But then during the summer when she's out playing tournaments, like she didn't do that well. You know, her dad was like super suspicious, or I'm sorry, super superstitious um about yeah,
That changes it a little
it does, it
bit.
does. So the dad was like, super super superstitious about everything that they did.
Mhm.
And if she made a bogey, what does she do before? Like, she wouldn't go drink from the same water fountain. She wouldn't tee
Oh,
off from the same spot
jeez.
on the tee box. All this different stuff. So, um, basically, yeah, I just literally read it last night that she
That's
played in her
insane,
first
man.
she played in her first LPGA event this last weekend and dominated the field and won.
That's insane, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I can only imagine having that pressure from being so good at any sport at a young age, competing at the highest level in that sport in the world at such a young age, being on Netflix, and then being so young that that pressure is only beginning, because people are going to know who you are. They're going to, remember you from Netflix. Oh, you're that person from Netflix. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. It's the girl. That's probably what she was called for years and years. And then you're playing against other people. And I don't know about you, but when you have guys that are either drafted, first overall or second overall, and you're playing against other people, they want to show you up like, hey, I can, hang with you. You're not that good, or, talk crap, or, talk mess and things like that. And I can only imagine the extra pressure on top of that. But that's awesome to hear, dude. But what I will say, completely off topic, but on topic at the same time, off topic per se, in the sense that it's about a story like that, right? Something that was like created, that was a series. But did you hear about the Blind Side guy? Did you hear about that? The whole Blind Side, where like apparently the only reason that the parents did something was to make money off of Michael Orr.
Yep.
And I mean, it was like, well, I was completely blindsided by that. I did not see that coming. But I was
Yep.
like, that's freaking terrible, man. Uh,
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have my thoughts. Have my thoughts on it. Like, obviously, you kind of see where Michael Orr came from. I think the stories of what he actually experienced and how his mother, was kind of going in and out of drug abuse
mhm.
and the stuff that he went through. Like, it's not uncommon
Right.
to
Of
hear
course.
about that. I mean, one of the stories that comes to mind is Richard Sherman, right? Richard Sherman's mom was everybody from the Bloods, from the Crips, they all knew. Loud car went by. They they all knew who his mom was, right?
Hmm.
And they all protected him and kept him in line, saying, "Hey, you have a real future. Don't f it up by trying to become one of us,"
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And in his words, all the OGs, right, basically said, "You stay away from that kid. You keep him in a straight line. His mom takes care of the neighborhood." You
Yeah.
know, and it's the same thing. Like, you see a kid who has
The
who
talent
who
and
has who has a
mhm.
talent, but also I think the story of his psychological test, where they talk about how he tested the highest that they had ever seen on survival skills, right?
Mhm.
I mean, the guys learned to protect
Yep.
forever. So
Mhm. Mhm.
again,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, there's some true parts to it, but again, I don't think that what this family did with Michael Orr was wrong
As
in any
bad.
way.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think he was wrong in any way, because you hear about it all the time. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
look at Jimmy Butler, right? Jimmy Butler had a family that supported him and his mom financially,
Yeah.
right?
Michael Jordan.
Well, that's
I,
that's the
they,
rumor.
they they
That's
say,
the
dude,
rumor.
he looks like Michael Jordan. He's a freaking
I
such.
know.
Michael Jordan's kids are like half his size, and I'm like,
I know. I know.
how crazy would that be? I mean, it could have. I mean,
I feel like there's some truth to it, but again,
right?
it's not uncommon. You hear stories about it all the time. I think where
Yeah.
people are so frustrated about it is because The Blind Side, the movie itself, was such a beautiful movie.
And such a
Like,
great story. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
you're
Right.
seeing somebody who literally has nothing, and here's this woman who just has nothing but, the biggest heart. She wants to give a
Hmm.
kid an opportunity. She welcomes him into his home with open arms,
Hmm.
complete stranger.
Yeah.
The kids have their walls up. They end
Hmm.
up becoming the best of friends. He
Hmm.
saves that kid's life, like,
Yep.
brings the family closer together. But you did kind of see how there was an investigation about, like, oh, well, why is everybody from Ole Miss that's involved in your life? Like, both parents went to Ole Miss. Your tutor is an Ole Miss graduate. Like,
Yeah.
what are they trying to do here?
Right. Right.
know?
But yeah, I
So
thought that was crazy that just came out. But I mean, um, I saw this meme today, golf related, posted it on our Four Dads Instagram page, and it was PSA. If you're gonna walk into another fairway while someone's teeing off to look for the ball, you better put some effing pep in your step. Have some GT respect. And I'm
yeah, that's super true.
like,
I
you
played
know
a
what?
course
Yeah.
where it's literally back and forth, and there's one hole that it's It always gets backed up right when you make the turn. So number 10, everyone wants to go over to the liquor store, go fill up on their drinks, get some snacks, right? But then you get over the 10th hole. I've gotten there to where there's 3 groups waiting.
Oh my
There's 3 groups waiting,
gosh.
and then you get to the next hole. There, everyone thinks that they can hit over the bunker from the blues, and it's like that hole is typically it downwind, but you got to hit all of that ball to get it over, unless you're you're a lower handicap player that can really nuke it or do
Right.
do something. But
Right.
for the average player that's at that's at my club, don't even think
Right.
twice about it. Go over to the right. Go over to the
Basic
right. The slope, yeah,
Julio's basically saying, if you're not Don Julio, what are you doing? If you don't have my power, like, dude, stop it.
yeah,
What are you doing? What are we
yeah.
doing here? Think about this.
But then you get to 12, which is like the hard par 5, which goes, it's a hard dog leg left. And then on the other side, you have 16, which is another par 5, where some people try to
Mm-hmm.
take it over the tree,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll hit the slope, and then they come over into your fairway. People just drive. They just drive into the fairway like it's nothing. Like, oh, yeah, you're on the tee box. You got to wait for me. I'm like, mother.
Dude, I will say one thing about my last round that doesn't really say anything about the round itself, but on hole 14, you have a little bit of water on your left, just like that you kind of hit over, and then it's just like a fairway and everything like that. There were these workers that were working on the fairway, and they literally had like a net, right, that just like covered like literally right in the middle of the fairway. And uh, I was playing with, again, my buddy Kyle. He hits it over them. No problem. We yelled like, "Hey, like we're gonna go!" Like they aren't even paying attention. They have hard. He's like, "They have hard hats." And I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry. I'm recording. If we hit him, I got it on camera. Don't worry." And so, like, legitimately, I go up there and I feel like I smash my drive. Finally, I was struggling with my driver all day. I smashed my drive, and I'm like, "It's over. It should be over." And I got it at like 278. Was like, I wanted to see how far away they were. I'm like, "How far are they?" Just in case. And legitimately, he's like, "Dude, you hit the net." I'm like, "Shut up." He goes, "Yeah, dude, you hit the net." And there's one, wait, I get up there, there's 3 guys. One guy's without a helmet. And I'm like, "Oh, gosh." I'm like, "Hey, guys, my bad. Hopefully you guys are paying attention." I mean, like, you're working in the freaking fairway in my head. Like, you obviously should be looking at all times. You're right where people are going to be aiming. And my ball was just right in the middle of the fairway there. And Kyle's like, "Yeah, it looks like you hit it 278. And I'm like, "Yeah." It probably would have rolled out a little bit too, but gosh, man, like, come on, like, right in the middle of the fairway. It's not like to the left or the right where I just effed up. Like, this was a good drive, and it killed my vibe. And
Yeah, yeah. I've actually this year. So the club that I'm a member at over at Stale, um, they redid all the bunkers during the uh, I don't know, just before summer, whatever season that is.
spring.
Um, yeah, there you go. During the spring, and dude, these guys are contracted workers. They have a certain amount of time that they have to get something done.
Mm-hmm.
None of these guys had hard hats on. They just had their orange jackets. They had the orange taped off areas, and I actually witnessed one guy get dosed. I mean, he was over there, digging out the stuff, flattening out the clay, and my buddy, I'm not gonna name him, but he hit
Bless
a
his
great.
heart.
He hit. It was his best drive of the day. He hit just this beautiful right to left draw, just a nice little easy 2 yard draw. We all just fought like at the top of our lungs, and of course, like we 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 knew that they were Latin, and they we weren't sure if they understood what four was, so we were like
What's
cuatro
for in
cuatro
Spanish?
right? And the guy literally turns like this. It was like so slow motion. He just turns and the ball just goes, whoa.
Oh
It was
no!
like it was literally like that official or that ball that at the what was it? I think it was at the Players. One of the ball assistants who finds the ball out on the course.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Dustin Johnson hit that drive and it absolutely squares
Oh
him in the
yeah,
back?
that was like Live,
Dude,
right? That was at Live, I think it was.
no, no,
No,
no.
or
I
was
don't
it
think it
PGA?
was live.
It was PGA.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
PGA. It was PGA. It wasn't live yet, but it was literally just like that. Guy turns and just boom hits the ground,
No
and
way.
we all drive over, and we're like, dude, like, are you okay? And he's just like, sus bien, sus bien. And we're like, you sure? And he goes, yeah. And then the supervisor, right, like the guy who's sitting in the truck watching them, he comes over and he's just like, not your fault, man. Not your fault. We're in the way of play. Like these guys understand the risk. Like he goes, if anything, these guys are in trouble with me because they don't have their hard hats on. And we're just like, wow, what a real insensitive asshole you are.
He could have died.
Dude,
like if you hit that
literally.
if you could have hit that in like right square in the chest where you're not supposed to, like next to the heart, dude,
Caves.
like that could be bad, man.
Caves. Dude, it was just it honestly was just like it all happened so quick. So quick. We saw the ball, we're just like, yeah, man, great drive. We're like, that ball's still climbing, it's not coming down yet. And all of a sudden we're just like, four, cuatro. Like all of a sudden just
I mean, not gonna lie, that's really impressive to think of Quattro right off the top of your head like that. Like because like I saw this comedian, he was like, I played golf today. I didn't get a hole in one, but I did hit a guy. And I didn't yell Fore because I was busy yelling, there's no way that's going to hit that guy. And it just it just smashed him. And it's just like, because the odds, like we talked about last week, like the whole divot thing, like how that shouldn't be a rule, how like, you should get some kind of relief, like a couple inches left, right, behind, doesn't matter. It's not going to really affect too much of it. Obviously, it's been a rule. I saw some people when I posted it on TikTok, they were like, oh, it's part of the game, play it as it lies. I'm like, yeah, well, stymie was also part of the game, and they changed that, okay? That was really part of the game. So if they can change that, what's stopping them from changing just one little small thing that's really not going to have too much of a difference, on top of it? If you keep the mud ball, I understand that, but that's probably another big one, like you mentioned. But, I mean, man, that is something that I lost my train of thought. As you just saw, my eyes just glazed over, and I was like, crap.
Did Stephanie just walk into the room? Is that why you're just like?
I wish I could say that, but no, I'm in the office right now, so no, door's closed. Trust me.
Check this out. So on TikTok the other day, I think I sent it to the Four Dads page.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another crazy rule that I came across.
Okay.
So,
wait, before you say that, did you realize that Patty O'Shea that morning posted on TikTok the same thing that we did? Someone was like, "What's one of those rules that you think shouldn't be a rule?" And then he goes like, "The divots thing," and I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Like, I was literally just about to post this. We talked about this yesterday in the podcast.
Great minds think alike. Minds think alike.
I was like, "That's crazy." Sorry, but go on. What's another rule?
All right, so check this out. So I can't find it on Google right now, but
of course.
So if you hit a bird or strike an animal with your ball and it's embedded in the animal, you have to play it as live.
And basically play it while it dies, while you take your second stroke into the chest of that thing.
Or you could just take it unplayable.
Oh my gosh, what? How often does that happen? How often? Imagine you hit a bird. Think. That's exactly in the air, and it just like falls to the ground. You're like, you're basically the Queen of Hearts from freaking what is it? Alice in Wonderland, where she's playing with like real freaking animals. That's insane, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I got a birdie.
Like literally, got an eagle.
Yeah, right. Not the albatross. No.
Think of when Randy Johnson hit that seagull.
Insane.
Right? Insane. Now imagine a golf ball coming off the face at like 186, 165 miles an hour.
And small, so it'll penetrate like a bullet.
It smacks like a mallard. It smacks like a goose, right? And you just hear the goose like, rah, rah, and then you're like, fuck. Well, I guess I got to play it as it lies. Sorry, buddy. Give me my pitching.
Let's get him out of let's put him out of his misery.
The head went further than the balls.
Blood everywhere. I shouldn't have worn white today. Oh
Oh
man.
man, dude,
Dude, that's
crazy one.
nuts. But one
Yeah,
thing we were going to talk about last week that you did bring up after that we should have talked about, which I don't know why more people don't do this, but PGA Tour 2K, the video game, they have a create a course designer basically where it's extremely intricate where people literally can add the Masters, Augusta National, which is not a licensed course on PGA Tour, and they can, and in the video game at least, they didn't get the licensing for it, but there's so many things that you can select and options to make everything so realistic that people have spent hours and hours and hours to actually create Augusta National. And to the exact specifications, to the green, everything. It's insane. There is this player apparently on the PGA Tour, Korn Ferry Tour, should I say, Korn Ferry Tour, that he plays practice rounds of the places he's going to play at these virtual courses. And some of them, I think, if I read it or listened to it correctly, he actually creates these courses as well, which is honestly an amazing skill. I've tried to replicate Dairy Creek, where I'm from, which is the course that I grew up playing all the time. Very big, kind of like Linksys course, very windy, very hilly, and it's just so bad. My courses look horrible. I spent maybe 6 or 7 hours, and you would look at it and you're like, what'd you spend? Like 10 minutes on this thing? It's so hard how much time you have to put into it. But it was really interesting to see that this player used this video game as a way to prepare for the rounds, where to shoot. Because obviously, I don't know about the Korn Ferry Tour, but the PGA Tour, obviously, they do have those Tuesday, Wednesday practice rounds to kind of see where the slopes are, where you want to hit, where you want to lay up, how the rough's going to play and stuff like that before the round. But I was really impressed to hear about that because I know in basketball, LeBron James, when players trade on him, he plays NBA 2K to try and get their tendencies. And I'm like, that's kind of smart and interesting and kind of crazy how far we've gone with video games and how realistic they've gotten. But what did you think about that story? Because I know we wanted to talk about it last week, but we just forgot.
I think it's awesome. I really do. And to what you just said about how LeBron James learns the tendencies of the players, like 2K goes 2K goes further beyond into the actual player's study in making it as realistic as possible than I think any other game developer,
Mm-hmm.
in the industry. Like they
Yeah.
put on full suits, and you spend. I heard that you spend anywhere from 2 weeks to a month with them going through every single move. It's capturing in real time, like how fast you're moving,
And talking to
where your
caddies.
where your faults are. Well, no, I'm talking like basketball, like where your faults are. You
Oh,
know,
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah. Sorry.
everything. Like it shows all of your weaknesses, and even when it comes to golf too, is like the players they sit there and they have to go through all day. I think Jordan Spieth when 2K first kind of came out,
Mm-hmm.
um, with I think it was 2022
No, the
two
first
or
one.
21.
21. It was 21,
Yeah,
yeah.
21, right? Jordan spoke about how long that process was for him to like go through how many balls he had to hit, how many like the scenarios they put him in to hit wedge shots, like depending because if you look on the game, it tells you like how deep your ball is embedded, either in the rough, depending on what the average is of the rough on that course, how it plays, and the course or and the game will kind of pick that club based off of right the condition, and then you can adjust it as the player. But Jordan had to hit every single shot, so to make it as
Mm-hmm.
realistic as possible, like yeah, he went into pretty deep detail about it. It was pretty neat.
Yeah.
But I think
I,
that's cool. I think that's cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I saw that and I was like, honestly, like that is probably something that I would do, like because take advantage of it, especially on the Corn Ferry Tour. If you don't have those practice rounds, which I'm not sure if they do or not, but regardless, these aren't courses that you play all the time. I feel like they probably move things around a lot more for the Corn Ferry Tour because it's not you don't expect so many fans like you at a PGA Tour event that you got to be able to have the capacity, the parking spaces, locations for these people to stay in hotels and stuff like that. They do play on great courses, but they're just not going to be able to hold as many people as the traditional PGA Tour course. And I'm like, dude, that's genius because you could easily finish a golf course or play a golf course within 10 to 15 minutes. You just play that golf course for a couple hours and you easily have the tendencies. You know where to hit. You can also have your player play the specific distances that you have or something close to it. So you have an idea of where your shots are going to land if you're playing that. You can put the wind in. It's just really crazy with how far video games have come and how far they're going to get, especially with this new VR that's coming out better and better and better. I'm not looking forward to that because I like just having a controller and chilling. I don't want to put too much energy in this stuff, but I mean, I thought it was a really cool little video, and I really hope that he's able to get into the PGA Tour and make that more of a known thing, because I thought that was a really, really cool idea that probably not that many people do. And I mean, especially with the Korn Ferry Tour, you are scrambling, and Xboxes and PS5s and are not cheap. They're about $500, and then like, but yeah, I thought that was really cool. But before we wrap up, predictions, even though we have round one and we saw Morikawa go, 9 under, I think it was Bradley Keegan went like 7 under. We have different leaderboard. Who are the top 2 guys that you think will win? Not that you want to win the FedEx Cup playoffs, but who you think will win. And you can obviously, we were 1 day in, so we're a little bit ahead of the game here, but just curious who you're picking.
Honestly, after last weekend, I have no idea. I really don't. I mean, I would love to see Victor pull one out.
Yeah.
Pulling for the kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, I think Scotty's had a great enough season. Like it would just be the cherry on the cake, right? Or it'd be the icing on the cake for him to just finish out the season with another awesome win.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like you said, I think it'd be cool for Victor. But if I were to pick 2 people not on that list, especially with what happened today, if he could stay hot, I will go with Keegan Bradley. He's won multiple times. Has he been on the Ryder Cup? I think he played on the Ryder Cup 1 year, right? Didn't he play on the Ryder Cup 1 year? So he's definitely a good enough player to make that, which is an extreme feat. And this was before the whole live breakdown, where they're just probably going to not even pick people because they're on live. But I would say Keegan Bradley, and I think John Rahm shot over par today as well. Let me actually see really quickly what we got in the leaderboard. Man, Shank, really? Let's see. I heard Rory McIlroy actually is a little injured. I heard he's dealing with an injury as well.
He's got a little back issue or something like that.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Sepp Straka. He is 4 off the lead, but he did shoot 4 under today, and he has won pretty well. He won a few times this year. He started 0 or even, and now he's going 4 under. But actually, one thing I will add, what do you think with the whole, you get strokes, for the last tournament? Instead of that, I know in the past they had a matchmaking, right, or match play. What do you think if they were to give 2 buys to the leader? You know how you have basically like a bracket, in order to make it even, instead of having like a 1 versus a 30, which doesn't really mean anything because the 30 could have gotten really hot and made it in barely. And, Scotty, when he's putting right now, he could not really be a number 1, but he is number 1 based off of the whole year. What do you think of adding a couple buys in so they are closer to getting into it, making their route easier, instead of just giving a 1 to 60 or 1 to 30 ranking on that last? Or do you prefer the route that it goes right now?
I prefer the route that is right now. I think it's pretty. It's pretty. I mean, you earn it, right? I think that's the one thing. You earn it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no if and buts about it. It's you're gonna get into it, and you played your butt off this season to be up top. Why not be rewarded for it? I feel like there's already just too much stuff now that, again, is if they earn it, let them play it. It's simple as that. Let them do their thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. So it's a good spot to wrap up the podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoy this weekend with the FedEx Cup playoffs wrapping up, and then we got Ryder Cup selections coming up, which will be interesting. Another big a lot of drama coming into those selections that we'll get to talk about in the next coming weeks. If you guys haven't already, check out the deal that they got for the Mevo on Flight Scope. It's $50 off plus our 15% off discount on the Mevo Plus. Instead of $500, you're looking at about $380, which is honestly a pretty big discount. I think close to about 24%, which is honestly really crazy that they're actually allowing you to use this discount code as well. Extremely accurate, extremely small, extremely portable. Definitely recommend checking that out. Upside Golf, we always got the it's 20% discount for dads at the checkout, just like it is for the Mevo. It's for dads at checkout, and you'll get those discounts. But that will be it for Fore Dads tonight. Don't forget, everybody, stay fly and go low, and we will see you next week.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.